Hey guys, it's Mike Orban. So, if you guys have listened to these podcasts so far, I'm just there's gonna be lots of like little stories all over the place. Kind of getting all our thoughts together and then giving you guys a whole bunch of different like backstory and things that we've had to do to get to where we're at and where we're going. So on the last episode, the last podcast, I was talking about like just challenges of cropping, just as a broad sense, where like weather affects it, time, the yield. To try to put more animals on, it requires more tonnage of feed in order to feed all those animals. So one of the things a big thing that we changed in our farming career was we never used to feed corn silage. We always used to do it all through baleage and dry hay, and then we would buy like grain and cornmeal. We'd buy that in from our grain company. And as we started to put on more cows, we required more tonnage of feed. It was harder and harder for us to produce the tonnage of consistent feed that we needed through just hay alone. Because a hayfield's not just a hayfield, a cornfield's not just a cornfield. There's like different stages, different quality, what they produce, so on and so forth. And we had to deal with a lot of rented ground. And at the time, our equipment was kind of older, and things were just kind of slower to do. So we always struggled to get enough volume and quality of forages, of hay or baleage up fast enough to be able to consistently have a consistent feed ration for the dairy cows year round. So the one thing that we did is we started planting corn for corn silage, because corn, it's a consistent feed base. It creates a lot of tonnage, and that allowed us to have an ingredient in the cow's feed ration to be stable year round. So when we first got started, we only started with planting 36 acres, I believe it was, of corn our first year. And we had another neighboring farm, who chopped it all for us because we didn't have any of our corn chopping equipment yet. So, and at that time we didn't have a corn planter. So actually at the time, that neighbor, he planted the corn for us and chopped it for us. And it wasn't until the following year, it was 2 years later, we ended up buying our first corn planter. So we planted our corn silage on the best ground that we had. We took it out of production of hay, plowed up the ground, harrowed it. We seeded it all. Our neighbor seeded it all down for us, and the corn actually did very well. I think we had, I'm almost positive, 36 acres. It might have been 33 acres. I think it was 36. And for us, that's a lot of corn. So we chopped 3 bags of corn. So we planted it and we chopped it, and we got three ag bags. So if you guys ever go down the road and you see like these big long tubes that are inside of them, there's either haylage, chopped hay, or there's corn silage, chopped corn. So we had the ag bagger that we used. It was a 9 foot in diameter and 150 foot long. So we chopped 3 of those. And that fed our cows for almost the entire year. I think we ran out just as soon as the new crop started on that first year, or when we chopped the second year's corn. And so this is all a learning curve for us, because I never had any experience with corn, but my father did. And my father had experience with corn, I think the very first year he started milking cows. He grew some corn on his farm, and then a different neighbor chopped it, and he had put it in we had an old barn foundation that he kind of used as a bunk, packed and covered it, and it just didn't work out well. It was full of microtoxins and mold, and it just was not a good experience for him. So after that, he never did it again until we started doing it. But anyways, so we had 3 of them put up, and when it comes to chopping corn, it's organized chaos. It's just because you have so much tonnage, so you know you're hoping at least you're getting 13 ton per acre of feed. And so you have a man running the tractor, the chopper, the chopper. You have a man hauling wagons, and a man running the ag bagger, or you have 2 men hauling wagons and both unloading to the ag bagger, because you got to keep up with the chopper. And once again, just the same thing with like feed and hay. You have such a short period of time to get the corn chopped for corn silage, because it can't be too wet, and you can't chop it too green, because it won't pack right. It won't go through the ag bagger. It's gonna become acidic. It's not gonna feed well for the cows. So you're looking for 32% moisture on the corn silage. So that would mean you're looking to have 68% dry matter in it. And and then the other biggest thing is you're also looking to make sure you got the kernels of the corn. It's going to be going into the milk stage, but then there's something called denting. It's as the corn starts to fill and mature. Each kernel on the cob, it has a little dent in it, and you don't want that to become too dry, because you need the chopper to be able to process the corn kernels to make the starch more available for the cows. And because if it comes too dry, then the kernel will pass through the cow, and your corn silage, the biggest feed value of corn silage is energy, because of the starch that's available out of the corn. So you only get, you get a couple weeks in the fall, kind of. You get maybe 2 weeks where you can kind of get everything harvested, maybe get 3. All depends if the fall is dry, if you get hit with a frost. It just all depends. But the other thing is once you start a bag, you want to finish it, because with wet feed, once air can get exposed to it, it starts. Fermentation starts, and then air gets into it, and then that's where the spoilage can happen. So you want to just get the bag, you want to get it done and get it packed and closed up, and then let it ferment. So when we chop corn, I think we had it done in 4 days, maybe, or 3 bags, running a 2-row corn chopper, pull behind, but it was all short hauls too, because one other thing that we did is, unfortunately, where our farm was, and when my dad started the farm, there wasn't a lot of land available close by that he could rent, because it was already being utilized by other farmers. So some of the best ground we've had was 8 miles away from our farm, so that's where we chopped our corn. And because at the time, with finances, we are looking at the most economical way, and not so much finances, more or less, I guess, we didn't have the equipment to chop, and the guy that was going to chop our corn, it would not have worked out for us to him to be chopping 8 miles away from the farm. We only have 3 wagons. He chops, one guy, and then we're hauling, and then he's just sitting there and waiting. So what we decided to do is we decided to bag the corn in the field that we planted it. And so it made for a super, super quick, chopping and bagging it, because it's a short haul. You're only talking, it's in the same field, basically. It was a 60-acre field. But then what we had to do is every day, and then in the winter we got our way to every other day. This is wild that we did this for 5 years. We would take a pickup truck, and we would go in the hot days, it would be every day, going to haul a load of corn, enough to feed the cows for the day. And you couldn't just get a huge load, because the corn it would spoil and feed, and the cows wouldn't eat it, so you had to throw it away. So every day we got up and went for a drive, and it was a 2 hours to 2.5 hour round trip. You go out with the wagon empty, and it's a silage feed wagon, and you're only going to be able to go at most 30 miles an hour. So it's a 16-mile round trip. So you get over the field, dry conditions, you could just get into the field, no problem with the truck, load it, drive on out, no problem. But then if you had too much rain, you had mud to fight through, snow, you had to plow it. It was just a process. Which I'll tell a little more about that later, but yeah, that was what we did for 5 years, and that helped us. The corn silage helped us to create stability, helped us start getting ahead, to have enough feed for a year out. And then it also allowed us to start doing crop rotation, cycling out old hay fields, because just like anything else, just because it grows grass doesn't mean the quality of grass is there. But yeah, that hauling of corn, that was its own challenge.